And I'm your host today. Today we have two special guests. We've got Leanne and Camila here from Myob. So they're going to be talking about leveraging online software and preparing for EOFY, end of financial year, which is coming up. So last week we had on the comic accountant, and he was talking about business and stuff like that. We've been talking a little bit about finance and business here on Digital Boost, and we're going to continue with that trend today by having these experts on. As a little bit of a reminder, I want you to participate in these sessions. They're for you. So make sure that you use the comment section, the Q&A function, and the chat function to get your questions answered by these experts. I do check all of the social media platforms throughout the session. So if you drop your questions in there, I will pull them into our Zoom chat here, and you will hear your question asked and answered. Now, I am going to do a little plug. We have a huge competition running right now. I don't know if you guys know about it, but it is worth $10,000. It's a digital transformation package. You win a Microsoft Surface Pro from Spark. You win a $5,000 consulting package with K&J Growth, who have worked with TikTok and Monster Energy and other small businesses just like yourselves. They'll help you with your social media strategy, and you also win a $5,000 consulting package with our Digital Boost team. We will audit your site, we will update your copywriting, and we will help you make your brand stand out. So to enter, you either need to register to Digital Boost. If you haven't already and you're naughty and you sit with us on our social media platforms and you haven't actually registered, get yourself registered, digitalboost.co.nz, and then you just watch 5 short tutorials. So those are like those 2 to 5 minute videos. It'll take you what 2 to 5 minutes, 5, 10, 20 minutes, and you're in the draw. It's too easy. So do take advantage. Our competition winners always rave about how amazing the packages are. So sorry to steal your thunder there, gals.
No.
It's too much for people to miss out on.
Oh, absolutely, Anna Marie. That sounds fantastic. I might go and join just to get it as well.
I reckon.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, oh, is that how we do it? That's simple.
Yeah. And a lot of New Zealand partners that could use that kind of boost.
Absolutely. And they all of our small businesses deserve a little bit of a leg up. So take advantage of these experts helping out. Now, I know you guys have a lot of content to get through. I'm going to drop off and make sure the chats are working in the back, and I'll let you guys drive.
Lovely. Thanks so much for the introduction, Anna Marie.
My pleasure.
Well, good morning, everyone. As Anna Marie said, my name's Leanne Berry, and I'm the Community Relations Manager for our partners across Australia and New Zealand. And joining me today is the lovely Camila. Camila is one of our solution consultants. Camila has a wealth of experience in small business, 15 years as a financial controller for a major Kiwi business. And her passion is to help small businesses in New Zealand and Australia succeed with the use of our software. So Camilla's going to do the wonderful demonstration today. And as with all things tech and live, let's cross our fingers and hope that everything works out correctly today. So what I'm going to talk about today is an introduction to end of financial year, what I should be doing versus what I want to be doing. What is end of financial year? Well, the end of financial year in New Zealand ends on the 31st of March, and that's the time that most small businesses close off their books and calculate their tax obligations to file with Inland Revenue. There's a whole lot of stuff that you should be doing leading up to the end of the financial year to make sure that it's not a stressful time for you, and to make sure that you're in control and have things ready for your accountant to do the work they need to do to be compliant. Things like completing your income tax returns, lodging your PAYE and GST, conducting stock takes if you're a goods business, and submitting tax returns are all part of the tasks that you need to complete at end of financial year. So why is it important? Well, the first one is to keep on the good side of the law, which is always the best thing for all of us to do, paying the taxes and reporting correctly to Inland Revenue. The other thing about end of financial year is sometimes it's just that pause that you need to stop and reflect on the year that was and work out what worked and what didn't, and what sort of tasks and procedures you want to take through into the new financial year. It's a great time to ask questions about your business from your financial advisors to understand what your incomings and outgoings are, and get that bigger picture of your business. And as always, if you're using online software such as Myob Essentials, it takes the pain out of end of financial year, because you should be doing that work incrementally through the year, selling and purchasing and reconciling your accounts, so that when it comes to the 31st of March, really it's the push of the button and everything is done. We're going to cover off these areas today, some of the key things that we need to do, like reconciliations. It's early in the morning here in Australia. Reconciliations and collating records and documents and things like that. So the first area that we need to shine a lens on is payroll, if you have employees in your business. So when it comes to the end of March, you'll file your last normal pay, and then you will do all your reconciliations in your payroll software, ensuring that your payday filing is accurate and it matches what you've reported through IRD in the MyIR portal. You'll also get the PAYE return summary report that needs to be lodged. That's the annual reconciliation. The next thing to do is to check that all those balance sheet liability accounts balance to the IR 345 report for the deductions, KiwiSaver and PAYE. So those balance sheet liability accounts, such as the PAYE, KiwiSaver deductions, should balance to what's owing for March. So that should be all that's left on your balance sheet. And if it's not, you need to do some investigation around that. And that final balance of the PAYE is payable to Inland Revenue by the 20th of April. Couple of key reports you should be saving every financial year so that you've got them for audit and reflection purposes if you need them. How often have you had an employee come to you and say, I need to prove my earnings for a home loan? So one of the best things you can do every year is save the certificate of earnings. Although they don't have to be given to employees, it's a great way of saving those, A, for your accountant, and B, if employees come back requesting those certificates of earnings. The other key report to save is a leave report. Leave is very complex in New Zealand, as we all know. So having those leave reports at end of financial year to look back on in case there's any discrepancies or challenges by employees is always really important. At end of financial year, in your payroll software, you'll generally find that there's a wizard or a help assistant that will guide you through the processes for end of financial year. So following those software instructions to finalize the year and also to roll the year correctly and ensure you've got things like updates to minimum wages and all those sorts of things correct, and things like your ACC levy rate information is really important as well. If you're a goods-based business, stock take at end of financial year is really important, because this sets aside, or this proves to the Inland Revenue, the opening and closing balances of your stock for the year. Now, stock takes are sometimes very, very onerous depending on the sites you have and the amount of stock that you have. So it's really good to make a plan for stock takes. And it's also really important to set aside enough time to complete the stock take. The other thing that's really important is training staff in stock take procedures, making sure they understand how important it is and you know, where to count, what to count, and give them all the tools and resources they need to accurately do that stock take. Knowing where all your stock is located is really important, especially if you have mobile services, vans out on the road, or stock on consignment, or stock in various locations or warehouses. Knowing where all your stock's located is really good. And reviewing stock at end of financial year is a really good thing to do on reflection as well. So working out, you know, what are your top sellers? What isn't selling so well that you may be able to have a fire sale for? Remember that stock sitting on the shelf is dead cash. So your cash is sitting on the shelf waiting to be sold. So making sure you're turning over your stock and making sure that you've got stock that is actually selling is really important. And end of financial year is a great time to take stock of those things. Record keeping is vitally important for any small business, no matter where you are. And digital record keeping processes really take the hassle out of providing evidence at tax time. So one of the things that you should be doing is ensuring that all your records are digital. So at MYOB, we have a great app called MYOB Capture, and that sends receipts straight to your software, so there's no more faded receipts. Also, you need to ensure that you have a lot of these other documents ready. So any financing documents for finance that you've got through the year, any assets that you've purchased or you've sold through the year, the documentation for that to be able to prove and get the depreciation correct. Our bank and loan and credit card statements as at the 31st of March are really important. Other things like motor vehicle claims to prove and logbooks to prove any motor vehicle expenses, home office expense claims, if you do have stock, that stock valuation report. And also there's a couple of other key things that you need in NZ, invoices and or the confirmation of period of any insurance payments, and invoices and or the nature of legal expenses incurred. So they're important documents that you must provide to your accountant to prove those expenses for. So as I said, keeping records digitally, one of the best things that I teach all my clients to do is at the beginning of a financial year, create a folder online in your computer somewhere and call it Accountant End of Financial Year 2022. And as you go through the year and collate these records, put them into that folder. And then magically on the 31st of March, everything that you need for your accountant will be in that folder, and you won't be chasing your tail trying to find where you put all those documents in our busy lives as we have them today. Another key task at end of financial year is making sure that your accounts are clean and tidy and ready to be presented to the accountant for that compliance work. So things like making sure that your accounts payable and accounts receivable reconcile. Making sure that if you have some really old or stale invoices on your system, that you're working to work out whether you're going to actually be paid for those invoices or whether those invoices need to be written off as bad debts. Making a note of those for the accountant to be able to write them up. As we all know, in small business, cash is king. So following up on outstanding sales, making sure that you're getting all the money in the door as it happens, and making sure that you have really good debt management policies that you're employing all the time. If you have outstanding credits for either sales or purchases, make sure you apply those outstanding credits so that the system is nice and clean. And as I suggested before, checking your balance sheet to ensure that all those balance sheet items, assets and liabilities actually balance, and that you have the paperwork you need to be able to prove those balances to the accountant as well. Reconciliations are a key to ensuring that what you've put through your accounting system actually matches what's gone through your bank. So ensuring that all your bank accounts, your credit cards and your loans are reconciled to the 31st of March and providing the documentation to support those balances. Making sure that you have copies of the GST returns and your bank loan and credit card statements that reconcile. And MYOB makes reconciling really easy with our bank feeds, and Camila will show you a little bit more about that in a little while as well. All throughout the year, there are key dates that you need to be aware of for lodging and compliance. And some of the key dates around end of financial year, GST is generally the 28th of the following month, after the close of the month. But at end of financial year, the final GST return for the 31st of March is due by the 7th of May. So it just gives you that little bit of extra time to be able to ensure everything balances and you're reporting correctly. Now, tax is an interesting one. Your tax return is generally based on your accountant's schedule. Now, if you don't know when your accountant lodges your tax, it's a great time to ask. So they have a schedule with Inland Revenue, but I'm sure your accountants will be in touch with you when it's time. There are a number of reports that you should be looking at and perhaps saving at end of financial year. And we've listed here the top 10 reports. Payroll reports from your payroll software, your accounts payable and accounts receivable general reports like your profit and loss and balance sheet, inventory reconciliations and bank reconciliations. Now in MYOB, we also have an exceptions dashboard report, and that's a fantastic report to run at end of financial year. It shows you a little bit about the health of your business, if you like, tells you if there are any discrepancies in post-dating or pre-dating sales and purchases, that sort of thing. As always, it's really good to make sure that you're connecting with an expert. So our MYOB partners are experts in MYOB software and have amazing knowledge and experience across small business. So you can find an MYOB partner from our site, and we'll give you a link to that later on. But it's a great idea to develop a good working relationship, because not only are they experts in financial advice, but they also understand small business. So using an expert will allow you to have the best advice possible in your business, and it's great to have those relationships. Our experts are also great on things like integrations and tools. So making sure that your accounting software is the key source of data, and looking at how to integrate things like e-commerce and POS and all of that sort of thing into your workflow to make it simple and streamlined. So if you haven't engaged with an advisor, I'd say that it's a great time to have a look at our MYOB partner portal and find somebody to connect with. As always, it's really important in this day and age to go digital. No more than the last 2 years have we seen how important it is to have accurate and up-to-date financials to be able to get access to things like government grants and COVID support. And MYOB's software helps you to achieve that. So we have our Essentials software, which is the core accounting product, but we also have apps and integrations that make it easy to ensure that your software is your one source of truth, if you like. So if you're on the go selling, or you have teams on the go, our Myob Invoices app allows you to create invoices on the go and also get payment for those at the time of making the sale, which is fantastic, really reducing debt management, if you like. As I suggested before, our Myob Capture app takes digital receipts. So it's a really great place to capture and store those receipts, and they come into the in-tray for coding. We have integrations for all sorts of things, from CRM to workforce management to POS and e-commerce. So making sure that you're getting the most out of all those other financial systems talking to your MYOB software. And one of the key questions that I talk to my clients about, and it's a great question to have in the back of your mind when you're engaging in new technology or whatever, is there a digital solution that I could be implementing that will make me more efficient, save time, reduce data duplication, and all those sort of things? So always ask the question digital first. What can I do to streamline this process? Who can I talk to? What software can I use? And how do I make those processes really, really easy? So now I'm going to hand over to the lovely Camila, and Camila's going to take you through a demo of our Myob Essentials product, and then we'll come back and we'll answer some of your questions. Thanks so much, Camila.
Thank you very much, Leanne. That was great. You covered so much key information for this time of year. So let me share my screen with you, because I believe that sometimes seeing something once is better than hearing about 100 times. So let me show you real life software. Give me 1 second here to get my screen set up. And I hope you can all see my screen.
We can.
Awesome. Can you see the little two Aucklanders having coffee? Because I remember showing this to a business in Christchurch and said, oh, if they're having coffee, they're from Auckland. So if you can see them in your screen, then I know my technology is working behind the scenes here. So as Leanne mentioned, the end of financial year, it's a very important time for your business, and it can be very stressful as well, because there are a lot of things for you to think about it. Digitalizing your business will help you fly through that with like no stress at all. For starters, Myob Essentials Dashboard is really powerful. So it gives you a quick visual of how my business is tracking. And for example, I can see here that my purchases went up in February, but my sales hasn't picked up yet. So I'm either haven't been doing my homework and haven't been invoicing my clients, or I might be carrying stock for the end of the year. So in preparation for the end of financial year, you will need to do a stock take. And you can use this opportunity to adjust stock quantities where and when needed as well, and generate an up-to-date inventory list. So this is a nice business insight that I just got it just by looking at it in less than a minute. But also the dashboard gives you a very nice view of how my business is tracking. I can go and I can compare that for next financial year if you're budgeting, or see last financial year, and you can see the nice graph. And what we really want is our sales to be going up and our profit to be going up as well. So you can see the income, expense, and net profit, and you want the expense to be going down, obviously. But you can see how this is tracking really nice here on the dashboard. It also helps you prioritize your day. So let's say that today I might need to focus my attention on my overdue invoices because I have some overdue bills to pay, and I really need to receive that money. As Leanne mentioned, cash is king. It's king in business. And also on top of that, it's not just trying to keep your bad debts and write-off as low as possible in the end of the financial year so you don't have a lot of bad debt being write off by your accountant, but also we know that cash flow management is a hot topic for the majority of businesses, and debt collection is a time-consuming pain point for many Kiwi businesses out there. In fact, 38% of business owners are stressed by about late payment, and on average, 56 debtors day are making the businesses really struggle. And this is coming from the Anthill online report, by the way, if you want to log in later and have a look. Also, according to ASIC, 51% of failed businesses indicate a lack of cash flow as the top reason why they failed. This is pretty important number to remember. A recent article from CEO magazine shared that companies who primarily automate invoices get invoices paid nearly half of the time earlier than those businesses that don't, and they can reduce the debtors day by 50%. So imagine if the average is 56 and you reduce by 50%, how much more money could you have on your bank account right now? And that's why Myob offers a very nice and easy, with a few clicks, you can just get the software to do the job for you, because nobody likes, I've never seen someone say, oh yay, today I'm going to be working on debt collection. No, it's one of the worst days of the month, really. But you can get Myob to do the job for you and set up your reminders, and you are in control of what do you send, who do you send to, and the cadence as well. Let me bring here, make it slightly bigger for you, and the cadence of those emails. So you know that while you're out running your business, while you're being busy running your business, you know that the software is doing this job for you. And also because you know your clients better than anybody else, you can choose who are the clients that will be receiving that automated email or reminders to pay that invoice. That is a pretty powerful way of getting your software to do the heavy lifting for you. So now back to the dashboard, and why I'm keeping coming back to the dashboard, because the dashboard gives you access to everywhere in the software. That's pretty nice and easy. So your sales, and again, if you have that recurring expense that you need to invoice your client every month, that fee, and is the same, doesn't change every month, save that transaction as recurring transaction, and the software will be invoicing your client for you. You don't need to do it. Same for purchases. This is great for rent, of all of those fixed expenses that you have every month that are the same in every month. On an ideal world, we want the software to be coding all the transactions for me. I hate coding, but my accountant gets really frustrated if in the end of the financial year I send them a bunch of uncoded transactions, right? So I want the software to be coding as well. The bank feeds will bring the balance from your bank or financial institution straight into your software and will bring all of those transactions as well. So you don't need to log in and say, how much money do I have on my bank account? Today, because Down the Drain Plumbing is not a real business, but you can copy the name if you want. You can I don't have a real bank account linked to show you today, but let's say you had 10 grand in the bank. You will be able to see 10 grand here in the bank feed balance. But the software is telling me off here that I have 12 unallocated transactions. And again, on an ideal world, I want 90% of all of my transactions to be coded by the software. I don't want to have to deal with all those little transactions. So let me have a look at why I haven't coded those ones here. For starters, I can tell that I have rent for my office. This is a recurring expense and will be happening every month. So I can either allocate them in bulk or I can allocate them one by one, but what's the fun of that? Or I can just create a row. So then I would never have to code this transaction again. The software will be coding it for me. And the software does all the heavy lifting again by populating. And I just need to tell the software what account do I want to use. So I want a rent office. There you go, 444. And oops, sorry, just because everybody's watching, real life software. Yeah, there you go. And I want 100% of everything that comes with that description to be put against rent office. And yes, I do collect GST on that. There you go. That's how easy it takes for me to create a bank row. Less than a minute, seconds. And this will save me, this will save me time for the rest of my year, because every time that I pay office rent, it will just be coded for me. But then you might be thinking about, how about those transactions that I kind of don't know? I put equipment in a lot of storage facilities around my town, and sometimes I just need to put it closer to the project I'm working on. So it can be from King storage or it can be special storage. I don't know where I'm going to store that machinery. Easy peasy. And for those Lord of the Rings fans, I will show you one rule to rule them all, and you probably know what I'm talking about. So let me get one of those here. Equip storage rent. And I'm going to create one rule to rule them all. As I say, everything with the name storage, or with King storage, or with, and you can keep adding conditions to it. So it doesn't matter where you're going to store your equipment that month, the software will pick it up for you and will code against your, I think, plant and equipment account. There you go. So now, again, for those Lord of the Rings fan, one rule to rule them all. Every time that you're paying storage, it will be coded to storage for you. You don't need to go one by one. And next month, if you decide to use the new storage company that just opened with a different name, it's easy as long as it says storage, or I can go and add their business name to the row and we'll just keep picking it up for you. Also, there's one transaction here that's making me scratch my head, because I seriously do not remember buying anything from a company called Little Gypsy. And sometimes that happens because you buy from a place that's registered with another name, or you just went for that shop and you bought something and you didn't pay attention to the name of the store. You just bought something on that day that you really needed. You were on the run. So Little Gypsy, what's this? We've created a button that's called Who's This? And once you click, it opens a Google search and show you and applies geolocation. So it gets this town that you're in. So if I'm doing this from Christchurch, I'm going to see the Little Gypsy in Christchurch. I'm not seeing the Little Gypsy in Auckland, but because I'm in Auckland, I remember now that I spend that money on the Little Gypsy in the airport. Yeah, true. That's the name of that coffee shop. I forgot. Completely forgot. So for me not to forget again, I can add more information, an extra layer to the bank statement description. So airport coffee. There you go. Airport Coffee, Little Gypsy, and I can now allocate. My accountant he told me how to allocate those entertainment expenses here and there, but I forgot. Instead of me going through my notes, I created a little cheat sheet here for me, which I can go and instead of having to remember how do I allocate entertainment again, I have something called Allocation Template. This will split my account 50-50 and put it on the right accounts as instructed by my accountant. This is great. So every time I spend money with entertainment, doesn't matter where it is, I have that here instead of having to go to my notes. Very used as well for fuel cards, because sometimes you have petrol, you have oil, you have something that you got from the convenience store, and so you get that statement and you call the allocation template to list all the accounts in front of you, and you just need to put the total amounts to each account. Very helpful instead of you having to go to last one or to your notes and find out how you did it last month. Okay, so there you go. That is coded for me. Now, Leanne mentioned the importance of getting your documents and affair in order. And at Myob, we have something called the Capture app. You just open the Capture app, and doesn't matter where you are. Let's say you're tradies on the road and you go to Bunnings, Mitre 10, Placemakers, and you buy something at equipment and you just snap a picture of that and you lose that paper. Doesn't matter, because it gets stored here at your essentials. So it doesn't matter where you're at. And for those businesses that think, well, Camila, most of my receipts come via email, I will show you how easy it is. So I have John Partners Lawyer here that I will need to allocate, but let me have a look if I have that receipt on my in tray. The in tray gets all of those receipts that you just took a picture of or that you received via email. And it makes your life easier because you just get and drag and drop from your email the PDF into here. And what the software is doing now, it's scanning that receipt for you. So again, it's getting all the information from the receipt that the scan can read and will make it available for you to link to your bank transaction or to leave it here to share with your accountant. So there you go. For this account, it picked up the date, the invoice number, the issue date, and the amount of the invoice. So it was pretty easy. And one receipt that I love showing to businesses out there is this Gunter Barrow receipt here, because I don't expect you to be a professional photographer unless you are a professional photographer, of course. But sometimes you're just on the run and you take a picture of that receipt and you just really get that done really quickly, a few seconds. We don't expect the picture to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's why I keep this one here, because it has a shadow on top. It's pretty faded, scruffled up, and still the software managed to get the date and the amount for you, right? So now, Camila, let's go back to that bank account. And how do we link this transaction? Well, pretty easy. You can link any documents from the in tray, or you can attach files straight to it as well. So if throughout the year you've been saving, or throughout the month you've been saving those receipts and you're just sitting there and you link everything really quickly for your accountant, it takes that long for you to link a receipt to a bank transaction, and it's now sitting here. So I can just go and code that transactions, and it's all done and dusted for me. And if I lose that paper, if I delete that email, it doesn't matter. It sits here for you. Again, you mentioned, Camila, now my accountant will have access to that as well. And it's really easy for you to share that file with your accountant. You just create a new user and invite your accountant to your essentials. And you are in control of who access what on your file. So I will give accountants permission, so they will have access to all my bank reconciliation, my GST, pretty much everything. Or let's say I'm just hiring someone that will be busy on the road doing invoicings on, with the invoice app. I would just give them access to my contacts and my sales, because they can then create a new contact and invoice that person on the spot. That's pretty easy for you to do it, and it gives you total control of who and what they are seeing on your software. Again, just another functionality that I love showing to businesses out there is the jobs functionality. Because it allows you to track income, cost of sale, expense, and net profit against a job. But when we mention job, the sky's the limit. I've seen businesses that have all the address of rental properties, and every time that they receive rent from John Smith, it goes against property on Queen Street, for example, because that's the tenant of that property, and it allows you to do a P&L per job. So as Leanne mentioned, it's time for you to take a knee and plan your next year. Great time for you to come and see what types of jobs and how much money you're making. Because I might go, well, if I'm doing drainage, for example, I might be doing more money than actually doing plumbing, domestic plumbing. So I might focus myself on on that range of businesses. So that's really good for you to plan and reinvent yourself as well. Now, the reports, we all been waiting for it, because for me, this is the most important part of your business, is where you really see the bottom line. Because Myob offers a pretty long list of reports, you have the option to just put a star on your favorites report. And again, this will save time by showing you the reports that you really go to on a monthly base or on a weekly base. For the balance sheet, Leanne mentioned that it's a really good tool for you to check your GST balances or your stock on hand and raw material account. You can also consolidate the balance sheet. So if you have more than one business, you can just come and consolidate, and this will put business to business, neck to neck, and you can just go through it and see which business is making is worth more or not. Another great report that you can also consolidate, and I love showing businesses, is the P&L. And the reason why is that business owners love this report because it has a bottom line. So you are busy managing your cash flow, you're managing so much, but the P&L gives you a punchline, it gives you a bottom line. And obviously you can consolidate up to 9 businesses. So this plus 9 businesses, you can consolidate all of those P&L. So if you're running multiple businesses, you can just consolidate them all into one nice view. So I can see here, South-based business, for example, and it just gives me a nice consolidation of that. Cool. I don't need to mention that it's also, you can put filters on, you are in control of a fair share of customization, and you can always save this as your customized reports and access that at any time. Now, another great tool that we have here for business, as Leanne mentioned, is that we have the business management suite. In here, you can create, let's say we're going to create a budget called Monday. Pretty simple one. I'm just creating one. Instead of you having to go to the P&L of every single month and export everything to Excel, work your magic, and then import back into your accounting software, this budget management tool does all that for you. And let me bring last year actuals. And actually, I want an accrual or cash. It doesn't matter how you budget for your business. You can just do it from here. So it's just creating and bringing all the information from the last financial year here for me. And let's say that for this year, I actually want to increase my sales in 20%. Easy. I can just increase 20. How cool would that be? Increase my sales in 20% throughout the year. So that's all my sales calculated. Boom, done. Again, let's say I'm subletting something in my office as well, and they're going to pay $1,000 per month. I can just copy this across every line. And you can even skip as well. So if you have an expense that will only come every quarterly rates, for example, that you can break into quarters, you can just choose what cells that's going to appear here. So boom. Let's say you just received a grant in your business, and I'm receiving a 50 grand grant on my business. How nice would that be? But I don't want to spend all at once. I want to break this into my budget per monthly. I can then come and average that across. There you go. That's how much money I can spend every month on whatever, however my business needs me to spend that. Once you do it, you can export, you can save, you can use the cells as a calculator as well. Well, the sky's the limit. Really, it really tries to stop you from taking this and spending hours on Excel. You can do it straight from here because then you don't need to bring it back. So back to the reports again. I told you there was a lot for me to show in the reports. And don't worry, you don't need to take notes. And you're like, Camila, you're showing me so much. I'm not going to remember all that. I'm going to show you a trick that's available here to you that follows you around the software. So especially for GST, because you only file GST every 2 months, you just click on the help and it opens a nice reports list here that follows you around. So let's say I'm on a report and gives me instructions of what how to use it. And then I'm going to go to Exemption Dashboard, and that gives me again all the instructions of, so if you don't use every day, sometimes you might even forget. Don't panic. The help is available 24/7 for you and follows you around the software. So it makes your life easier. So the Exemptions Dashboard, what Leanne mentioned before, it's really great for you to keep an eye, and the software is trying to help you to keep an eye on, for example, you went to enter a manual transaction, and instead of 2022, you key in 2025 because the 5 and the 2 really close on your numeric keyboard. It's fine because it will be picked up here on the future data transaction, and we'll probably give you an exemption and keep asking, are you sure that's the date you need it? Camila, are you sure that you have 14 transactions with tax code exemptions? And those are cash transactions. Are you sure that's right? It doesn't sound right to me because you probably should be paying GST on those. And it might just be a little typo. So let me go back and revisit those. I click in here and opens all of those transactions for me, easy for me to manage and change. In the end of the month, you need to do a lot of reports as well. So everybody does a P&L, a balance sheet, creditors and debtors, and etc. Really for you to compare how that month is tracking along. Instead of you having to go to each and every single one of those reports and create them individually, you can create a report pack. So pretty much a report pack allows you to save what are your favorite reports? What do you check every month? And instead of having to create one by one, the software, it's now going and doing all the heavy lifting for me and creating all of my reports here. There you go. That's my balance sheet, P&L, cash movement. But this month, I should be filing GST as well. I can add reports on the fly. And you can change the templates as well. So next month, it just generates with GST. And this GST return here is one of my favorite reports. It kind of gives away my age as well, because if you've been in business for a long time, you know that that's exactly how the inland revenue forms used to look like back in the days, where we used to have to fill up, and I think they were orange, and you had to fill up and then go and post them to the inland revenue. So there you go. That's my favorite report, because it reminds me, it makes it really easy for me to understand how those amounts were calculated here as well. From here, I can just go and file my GST and make sure that my GST is in order and paid. And instead of having to go to my IR and file manually, because you don't need to go to the post box anymore nowadays, you can do it online. You can simply use the Essentials to do that. And because you only do every 2 months, you might not even remember that how to do it. And it's all here, step by step. How do you prepare your GST return? It's all here. You don't need to take notes. Don't worry, we got you. Awesome. And it's opening a list here. There you go, step by step. How do you do? Where do you click? What do you need to pay attention to? Cool. So that summarized, and I know I've shown you a lot, but please do feel free to ask us any questions or to reach out to any of our partners. Thank you very much. And back to you, Leanne.
Managed to
Camilla.
stop your share.
She did manage to stop her share. Isn't that good? Let me just reshare my screen now.
Okay.
Camilla, that was just amazing. There's so much there. And you can see that as a digital tool to help you to keep on top of your finances. But not only that, it is also really important to be able to make informed decisions based on up-to-date financials. And with all the tips and tricks that you've shown us today, you can see that just by spending maybe half an hour to an hour every day on your Myob Essentials file at the end of financial year, basically everything is ready for you to hand to your accountant or for them to jump in, because you can share your file with the accountant. So no more, discs or USB memory sticks and driving to your accountant and all of that sort of thing. It can all be done collaboratively online. The other thing about that is that at any time, you can also get your accountant or your advisor to jump into your file and help you out with things as well. We have a whole lot of resources on our Myob site that will help you with end of financial year. We have a New Zealand end of financial year hub, and we also have a checklist that I think Anna Marie is going to post up with the video from today. So it's a great little handy 2-page checklist around what you need to be considering at end of financial year as well. We also have an offer in market at the moment, which is 50% off for the first 12 months. So that's a great offer off your essentials. So get in touch with your Myob partner or call Myob or jump on the website and purchase that software. If you're still using shoe boxes or Excel spreadsheets or things like that, you can see that a digital tool like Myob Essentials can help you, especially around end of financial year. Camilla and I would both like to thank you for spending some time with us on a Monday morning. We know that we've presented you with a huge amount of information, but you'll be able to rewatch this recording and you can reach out to an Myob partner if there's anything that you need to know or for assistance with setting up or checking your software or anything like that. So Anna Marie, do we have any questions?
Oh, sorry. It takes me a second to get back and forth. Not as yet. I haven't seen any questions pop through on the social media, although I can see people watching, and it looks like we're pretty well in check. I will be loading up, as you mentioned, Leanne, that PDF to this session as a learning summary. So for those of you that are new to Digital Boost, some of our providers and suppliers actually submit their presentations. And what we do is we upload them underneath the recording on the website so that you can download it as a supportive material. It saves you time if you don't want to rewatch the whole session, but also just gives you that little bit of extra support with the content if you need it. So that will go up later today as the session is uploaded. And if you tuned in with us on Zoom, you'll receive a link to this session and thank you for attending email. Yeah, this session has been really informative and quite detailed, so I'm not surprised people are digesting, and we want to give people the opportunity to do that. And also just wanted to say thank you so much there was a lot of people that came into play to make this session happen, and we knew that it was poignant that it happened at this kind of time of year so that we can be right on point with actual end of year financials, give you a chance to get your ducks in a row and get yourself sorted, as we say. And if you have any questions that Myob, perhaps it's not pertaining to this, but similar, you're not sure where to go, contact support at digitalboost.co.nz. We're here to help, and we can direct you to where you need to go on the site. If you'd like to watch some more content from Myob, we've been really lucky to have them on in the past as well. So we do have lots of content on the site that you can access that goes into different areas of this tool and ways that you can use it. So do take advantage of that. We have a search functionality on the site that you can use. So you can just type in Myob and it should pull up all of the content that we have with these guys. So I'm just going to double check one more time to make sure I haven't missed anybody typing, wanting to get something in there, but it looks like we're pretty good. So that might be it for us today. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, Anna Marie, thanks so much for having us. It's a pleasure.
It's
Thank
my
you
pleasure.
so
Thanks,
much.
thanks, Camila. And thanks for waking up a little bit early this morning, Leanne.
It's all good. It's Monday morning and it's the start of a new week, so there's endless opportunities.
That's right. Too right. All right. Well, thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. I hope to see you all again tomorrow. And good luck in that comp. If you participate in that, you guys get on that. You might be able to get on that. Yeah, have a wonderful day. Ka kite, everyone.